Hi, welcome to Get Garage. My name is Zach, and this is my show about whitewater stuff. And today I'm packing for a multi-day river trip, but really a lightweight one. We're going to do a trip where we paddle down a river and then hike out. So sometimes we hardshell kayak this, but because the river is low, I'm going to take a little lightweight air back raft, so it's easier to hike out. In low water, I kind of like inflatable kayaking a little bit more. So here's what I would pack for that kind of trip. And I love this kind of trip, so I have all kinds of little things I typically do. So first of all, I'm a fan of Hyperlight gear. They make really cool stuff. Here's one of the packs. I'll show you that in a second. They make these bags, though, that are pretty dry. I'd say like 99% dry. And when you combine them with these backpacks, I feel really comfortable about how dry this stuff is. I wouldn't say it's 100% waterproof, but for me, it's close enough. So basically, I'll use one of these little things, and I'll shove my sleeping bag in there. And this is a pretty warm bag, and I'm a big fan of down, even though maybe it's not the smartest thing, because a pack's so small. Like if your down gets wet, you're in trouble. But I still use down, and I find myself a lot of times drying my sleeping bag out by the campfire because it got wet for some reason. But the first thing I'll do is pack this guy by itself in this Hyperlight bag. And you know, the nice thing about down again is it does pack small, but it takes a little bit of effort. And as you can see, it makes a pretty small bag. And I can get it down even further. And I'll typically throw some clothes in there that I won't even think about to camp, because I do have a little bit of room in this thing. So I brought myself an extra fleece, like a just-in-case fleece for the evenings, and a couple pair of socks. Like I probably won't need socks until camp, so I'll throw some socks in there. And I'm a big fan of jeans. Now, I know I'm packing this out, and jeans are heavy. I'll probably wear the jeans on the hike, but I just like jeans in the outdoors because they're durable. I wear through gear pretty quick, and like long term, it's nice to have a pair of jeans just to sit on rocks and enjoy it in camp. So it's kind of an excessive thing, but I certainly like it. So I'll throw my jeans in here because I probably won't use these until camp either. So with all this stuff, it's packed pretty tight. And the nice thing about putting some clothes on top of the sleeping bag is if water does get in this bag for some reason, it gets to my clothes first and my sleeping bag last. Which, again, I don't expect it to, but it's possible. So once that bag's done, this is like a typical dry bag, these little Hyperlight bags. You just give them a few rolls, get the air out, and close it up. And these bags are meant to work with these Hyperlight packs. Again, this is a super lightweight pack. They're made in Maine, I believe. It's a great company. I just think they think of everything with these packs. They're really minimalist. But basically, there's big open spaces. So I'll throw my sleeping bag with my camp stuff in there. And it fits nicely there in the bottom. And next, I'll pack the rest of my clothes. I'll get another one of those bags and pack the rest of my clothes in there. So here's another bag. And this will be just kind of like overflow for camp. So I'll have an extra pair of shorts in case someone warms up and I want to go for a hike, or if there's a hot spring or something, which there isn't, but typically there is. Some underwear. I enjoy having a cotton t-shirt for camp, so I have a cotton t-shirt. Just a couple of things. And then a rain jacket here. It's nice to have a rain jacket for camp, or for whatever. So I'll throw my rain jacket in here. And this one isn't packed quite as tight. There's not as much stuff in here. But I'll pack this down. And again, this bag, when it's closed like a dry bag, inside of this backpack should be dry. So I'll throw this on top. That's sort of like the next layer. And then I'll start packing up my kind of camp gear. And Hyperlight also makes these really cool little organizers for their packs. They're pretty sweet. The zipper's waterproof. There is a small hole at the end of the zipper, so water can't get in here. So I never put anything here that's like mission critical unless it's already in a Ziploc. But again, I've used these a bunch in the field inside these packs. Never had a problem. So in here right now I have my dinner, my breakfast, and coffee. And I'll just throw a few things in here that I don't need to camp, like a headlamp is nice to have, my toothbrush. I'm not bringing toothpaste. I'm going to skip toothpaste for one day. That's my own call. I really like these things. These are little lights, solar lights that light up. And, you know, on a trip like this where you probably won't have a campfire, it's nice to have kind of a big light for camp, just to sit around and chat. So I'll bring that. I also have, this is a life-proof battery. I have a bunch of electronics with me, as you'll see, so it's nice to have a little bit extra charge just in case something goes. So that'll go in there. And for a stove, I've chosen to bring my simplest stove. Again, this is just one night, one morning. And so it's just a really simple gas stove. This guy, and this thing goes on top. It clicks on, you turn it on, and it lights. And it's not as efficient as a Jetboil, but it's just really simple, as you can see, and incredibly light. And so because it's just one night, I'm not worried about fuel or efficiency. This is a stove I've chosen to bring. And I think MSR makes this one, but every company has one of these. And I'll throw that on top. So this will be sort of like my camp cooking kit right here. And this again has all my food, a couple of things I need for the evening, and the stove. And so once that's packed up and zipped up, and again, it's pretty waterproof. There's possibly a little hole there water can get in, but the rest of it's waterproof. And I'll throw that on top of the pack. So I got that. That again, that's food, camp stuff. And with that stove, I have this pot. I'm also a huge fan of Snow Peak titanium stuff. I have this little titanium pot for boiling water on. It also will straight right in a fire. So if I can have a fire, I may not even bring the stove, and I'll just bring this thing and heat water. So this will just go right in the pack. I'm not going to put it there right now. Along with this titanium bowl that's really simple, and a double-walled coffee cup that'll keep my coffee warm when it's in my hand. So these will go right into the pack. They can get wet, but they probably won't. Again, these packs are pretty dry. So next I'll pack, this is sort of my lunch, and stuff I'll get to during the day typically. So if I pull over for lunch, I'll have to open the pack up, and this will be on top. So I'll have different snacks. I'll put toilet paper in there. Like, you never know when we want to be ready in case of a toilet emergency. Along with a little shovel if you need to dig a hole. On this trip, I'm going to bring a wag bag. I have to go buy one at the store, but I'll bring a wag bag just so I'm like leaving no trace, and I can pack it out pretty easy. So we can throw that in. And I'm also throw my book in there. I'm reading River of Doubt right now. It's a great book, and maybe we'll pull over for a long lunch and I'll want to read or have in camp. So I'll throw a book in there as well. And a couple of things that I just like having handy. Beanie, it's nice to have pretty handy, so I'll throw it. Maybe I'll want to put it on at lunch. And I'm a huge fan of the adventure scarf. These are like the most underrated pieces of gear, and it's just a quick way to warm up. So I'll have my beanie and my scarf together in that like sort of lunch bag that's almost at the top. So that goes in there too, ready to go. Let's set that down. It's filling up, but there's room. I have to organize it. Next is sort of my like safety, first aid, repair essentials. So I'll have one more of these little bags. This is my first aid kit. If I'm doing like a really lightweight trip, I probably wouldn't bring one this big. This one's pretty big for 2 people, but I have a lot of stuff in here I use all the time. I have backup terray to do repairs. I have an extra headlamp, an extra lighter, lots of backup stuff. I can bring it on this trip because I have room. But if I was doing a self-support kayak trip, this first aid kit would be a third the size. So that's probably where I save a lot of room and weight, is that first aid kit. So that goes in there. I have an emergency communication device. So this Garmin, these are really nice. It has an SOS button. So if somebody gets hurt and we need immediate evac, we can get them out. The helicopter will come if you press that button. And I think, these cost a few $100, and it's like $15 a month. But for peace of mind, I really feel like this is a nice thing to have. So I'll throw the Garmin in so it's really accessible. Here's my water purification. I'm bringing a SteriPen. Again, really easy solution to purify water. I also like to have hand sanitizer handy. I think sanitation is an underrated thing on trips, and just kind of doing this on a regular basis and passing it around, it's nice to have it accessible. And this is the repair kit. We're bringing the air back rafts. This is the repair kit I put together for back rafts, and it just has like the needle and thread and some tear aid and things like that to repair those boats, so that's really available. And I finally have an extra supply of tear aid. And as you can see, I have it with the repair kit, I have it in my first aid kit, and I have this extra little bit. You can repair your rain jacket, a dry suit, a tent, and your boats with this stuff. It's just really great to have. So I have a lot of it in multiple places, and I'll just throw that in there too. And so this will be my quick and easy, accessible bag that's going to have all kinds of safety, first aid, and repair. Oh, and a couple more things. I have a couple carabiner and a pulley that go in there as well. So I'll throw that in. Again, we're just taking inflatable kayaks. I probably don't even need a pulley. but having a couple carabiners is nice. And with inflatable kayaks in the river we're doing, it's not terribly hard. It's not something I need, but something I bring. So this will go on the very, very top, and if I need, again, emergency something, I can just pull this out and have emergency stuff ready to go. So a few of the things on the list here that I'll bring. I'm a big fan these days, along with the emergency communication device, having a phone. I use Gaia GPS app, and it has maps, and I already downloaded the maps in the area. So even if I don't have a signal, I have all the maps. It shows me where I'm at on the map. That's indispensable. And as a camera, this is pretty sweet too. The phones now have cameras, so I just throw it in a life-proof case in my life jacket, ready to go. And then again, I have the backup battery. In case I lose battery, I still have access to maps. So if I'm doing the route this time is pretty straightforward. There's nothing crazy, but it's nice to have maps for emergencies, or if we want to maybe try a different route hiking out. But if I'm really worried about like maybe finding the route, it's nice to have this and a paper map. So I would bring a paper map normally, but this time I'm pretty comfortable with just the phone. Finally, I brought a few other things. A simple black diamond tent. This is a one-piece tent. It's light, it's simple. I could also just bring a tarp for this trip. It's probably not going to rain, but I just had to bring my tent. It'll fit in the pack as well. K-pump. You know, this is a small pump we can use to pump up our boats. So it's nice you need to have a pump with you, and I think the K-pump's the way to go. For a camera, I do like to document my trips. So I brought my good Canon camera. It's a Canon 60, and this watershed bag to put it in. And I'll throw inside of here a couple other things. I might end up putting my beanie in here as well, and I might even throw the emergency communication device in here because there's plenty of room. But I'll throw an extra layer in here sometimes. But this dry bag will be super handy. So things I need to get to quickly end up in here. So this will go with me. And just going through the boating gear. This is the boat. Again, the air backraft it'll sit on the outside of my backpack when I hike out. Just simple, light. This thing's 10 pounds. I'm just a huge fan of these for this kind of trip. It really makes this trip possible and more fun. Some hiking shoes for hiking out, and these are just great hikers. But I also have river shoes, and so you know I'll have these over in the river. I'll have these to hike out. I could just bring one pair for both, but I've just learned it's nice to have kind of the right shoe for the right job. And I'm always thinking about backups. I'm always thinking about somebody forgetting something, or me losing something, or me forgetting something. And either one of these could be river shoes, and either one of these can be hike out shoes. So I did a trip last year, a 10-mile hike in. One of my friends forgot his hiking shoes, and I gave him these, and he hiked in 10 miles with these. So I don't need both of these. I could just hike out on these. And if I was self-support kayaking, I would probably just bring these. But it's nice to have a backup too. So those are shoes. Hyperlight makes this throw bag. I did a Gear Garage episode on it. Super light, great little throw bag. So I have this with my river gear. The Astral, this is the blue jacket or blue vest, I forget what they call it. But it doesn't have all the bells and whistles. It doesn't have the safety harness and all those crazy things. And so it's lighter. And so for this kind of trip, it's a great PFD, and it weighs less because it doesn't have all that stuff. And of course a helmet. This is a simple light helmet. And then my paddle, of course. This is my friend makes these wood paddles, and it has a strong Dynel outside. So I bring this for low water trips because I'm going to beat it on rocks. And they're pretty durable. And then I have my dry suit, which I think is pretty critical for these cold weather trips. And a onesie, which is, you know, a nice thing to have. And it gives, again, a backup layer. So if my clothes get wet, for some reason my bag, I do have this layer to sleep in. And then finally, this Thermarest Neo Air sleeping pad. These things are almost no volume. They're super light. I just would lay it out to test it to see if it held air, and it doesn't. So I need to repair it tonight before I go. But these are really simple, small ones. And I'm a fan of these, except for, of course, their durability. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all the stuff I'm bringing. It's a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of expensive stuff, too. This, as I look around, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of money in things. But it's kind of what it takes to run these kind of, like, exploratory style trips. And, yeah, and do it safely and have all the right stuff. So if you have any tips to add, please add them in the comment section below, or any questions about why I brought this or that. Again, I really enjoy this topic, so as you can probably tell. So any discussion you have is great, and again, ideas you have to make it safer or lighter or better, I'd love to hear. That's all this time. Thanks for joining me.